So isolation has positive effects and negative effects. I think I am at the part I'm at the area within this experience where it's time to come out of it because I've gotten all that I need from it and I'm trying to find my way, and maybe I can extend myself a little bit more. But what I have learned in isolation has been priceless. If I had not detached, if I had not walked away, if I had not quieted everything around me, if I had not singled out my voice, right? And this is the thing, within this experience, I was willing to look at what did not honor, what did not serve my insecurities. So within isolation, I wasn't running, I was facing. And there were parts of that experience where I was running. And I think now it's time, right? Because if I stay in it any longer, then I'm running from existing within a reality that I've been gifted, right? There's a season for everything, and I think isolation was important for me to connect to the most, or connect to the shadow elements of myself, because I did that within my intimate relationships and friendships. I was able to dissect and understand, but there are things that we miss because sometimes within relationships we reinforce ego, right? So you can be doing that work with a friend. You guys can be trying to understand your insecurities, trying to understand what it is that dishonors you, what it is that does not serve. But as much as that work can be co-signed, there's also nuances that we can miss as individuals, right? Because we have very specific experiences. We have very specific moments that make us who we are. And so we have to isolate, isolate and take ourselves out of these relationships or these groups that we have so that we can see it a little bit clearer. And what was interesting is I was doing this work on myself within those relationships. I was observing myself, and there were times where I saw the ugliest parts of myself get reinforced in these relationships because I was insecure, because I was unsure. And so isolation served. I knew that by taking myself out of the equation, I could hear myself clearer. I could understand why on an even deeper level. I could have this dialogue with myself without shame, without fear, without a cosign that wasn't necessary. And I think when you are willing, that's the biggest part. Because if you're just, like I mentioned before, if you're just in isolation and you're running and hiding, then there's no service, right? There's no service to self. And because I wanted to not just do service to self, I wanted to serve others, I understood that there was a pureness that I had to have about the experience. And a part of that was also understanding that I had to remove this idea of perfection and complete purity, especially carrying these shadow elements. Especially carrying these shadow elements. I had to ground myself in the humanity of it all. Take myself away from everybody thinks this, or she thinks this, he thinks that, they think this is how. I had to cut myself off from absolutes that I had within me, right? This is how it goes spiritually. This is how it goes mentally, emotionally. I had to cut myself off from those things because they were restricting me from being human. And this is not to say you can't, building principle is important. Having a moral compass, being grounded in that, important. I've always said that. But when it comes to us evolving as a human race, we cannot skip the nuances. We cannot gloss over the truth. We cannot continuously hide the shadows. Not if we want to truly alchemize and go beyond. Because we will run right back to the same thing over and over again if we do not accept. And so it's time for me to come out of isolation. And there are parts of me that are resisting it, and there are parts of me that are trying to run out of isolation, trying to seek opportunity within purpose. And the difficult part has always been staying within the room of integrity. Because I cannot put myself in spaces of disservice again. So I can't just go get a job. If the job is going to kill me, right, my soul, my being, if this thing is going to kill me, I cannot willingly step in to the arena with it. And so this is why I create the way that I do. So I can authentically connect to the people that I'm meant to. And it's so difficult because sometimes I don't feel enough and full enough, even though, and it's so interesting to me, the duality of feeling like I got this and I can do this and I create and I write and da-da-da. And then in the next breath, I'm like, whoa, I do not feel like I have this. Like this is enough. And that's how I know I'm on the right track. Because that is the song that every other human being sings. And listen, we can talk about the people who have been loved and supported and have never had to feel that way. They have a good grounding in terms of, being affirmed throughout their life. And that's beautiful. But I'm speaking to the people that have gifts within them, power within them, and they believe it. But sometimes, they fight with this thing within them. I'm one of those people. And so this is why I continue to create. So future me can hear, future me can know that I did something, that I tried. Right? That I wrote down every single moment. That I used my gift as an author to articulate. Because when I look back at pictures, videos, when I look back at my work, there is a pride that I feel. And that's it's always been an emotional thing. I see it as a commitment to myself when I'm able to look back at my work. It feels like a future version of me, not in that moment. I hope you understand what I mean. It's like me at the end of my life. I feel that energy of pride, and it's a ripple effect when I look back at those moments. I can feel the weight of what I am doing, and it fills me up. That is what fills me up, knowing that I documented this experience, knowing that I told the truth to the best of my ability, that I am an artist, that I do create, that I do show up, that I do love. And so I'm fighting my way out of isolation with integrity.